Hi everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am excited to share the results of my year-long scrapbooking album project. I document my family's life every year and then I print it in a beautiful bound book, and it's all based on information from a class that I teach online. It's a self-paced e-course called Scrapbook Your Year. And I want to share with you the results because it just arrived yesterday from the company that I print with. It's a company called Adorama Picks. They're a company in Brooklyn, and I love them because the quality of these books is fantastic. My approach is based on a traditional type of project life where you've got pockets, but these are digital pockets, of course. And in the class that I teach, you get the digital files, you get the instruction so that you can create something like what I am doing. This is the beauty of this project. I simplify. I do not need to save everything that goes on. You know, in this era that we live, we take so many digital photos. And part of the concept behind this is to let go of that pressure to save it all and just get the high points, because I'm going to tell you a little secret. The high points are just as awesome as covering every single thing you've ever done, experienced, saw. You know what I'm saying. The reason I like to do this in this approach is that, well, okay, there's two things. First, I'm running out of space for scrapbooks. That's point one. And point two, I love project life. Like, Becky Higgins is a genius for inventing the whole idea of it. I love the idea that you are documenting life, whether it's every week. Every week was too much for me. So every month, you emerge with a snapshot of what was going on in your life at the time. You know, I cannot even tell you how much I wish that I had something like this from when my daughter was 3.5 and I had a baby in the house with my son. You know, like, just the idea of everyday life. This is what's so glorious about it. But in my approach, we take a monthly approach. We have a title page every month. We have a little card every month. And I create sort of a recap of the month on the first page. And then I just tell whatever stories happened. Now, the truth of the matter is most of these photos from this era of my life were taken on my iPhone. That's just how it is. You know, it's the phone that you have with you, right, is the one that you're, or wait, the camera you have with you is the one you're most likely to use. Or Snapchat screen captures. You know how you can take a screenshot that my daughter Snapchats me and I include in my album, because what happens when your babies don't live at home anymore, right? So I rely on the graciousness of my children when they choose to share. Now, this was from 2018. That's my darling son, who's now away at college. But the little hearts, this was his final conference, and I asked him to turn and smile. He's got a great sense of humor, and you need to understand that in our house, that humor is greatly appreciated. Anywho, yes, so I include all kinds of things like screenshots and texts and all manner of the year. And then at the end of every month, I write a recap. That's it, a monthly recap. Sometimes I take notes as I go throughout the month. I recommend that when I'm teaching this class material. I'm not live teaching it, but I always recommend that people do that. I don't anymore. I literally will go through my photos and say, okay, what happened? What's going on? And I can mostly recall enough to jot down stories. I do include these little blank journal cards with text dropped in so I can tell a specific story. For example, this spread, both of my children have been involved playing Ultimate, which is a disc frisbee type game. Think soccer and football. Throw it all in together, but use a frisbee, and it is the coolest sport I have ever seen in my life. Yeah, anyway. But I take lots of pictures at sporting events, and then those come into, an actual spread like this. And if some months have more photos, then I use more photos. But honestly, most months don't. Most months, I'm totally fine doing it this way. All right. Now, the other cool thing about this is the design of these templates. It is meant to have this much white space. I love clean and simple. I love white space. I believe it allows your story to breathe in a way that really makes this seem somehow more substantial. Does that make sense? Like it just ups the elegance factor. And that just makes me so happy when I see my images, funny little selfie screenshot taken. I think that was with Snapchat with my friend Gina. And, but it's fun. And I really like the framing white space. And again, I include texts because there's a lot of our lives are communicated sometimes through the text mechanism, right? And this was actually a text that my daughter sent me, and yeah, it was really sweet. I'm not going to read it out loud because I don't want to get emotional. But continuing on, the month of May had so much going on with my daughter and her college ultimate team won the D3 National Championships. Huge. She graduated from college. Look at those beautiful girls. Oh, and so I added an extra page because it was a much bigger month. Does that make sense? Again, the process behind Scrapbook Your Year, it is really designed just to make it easier. I'll tell you how this works for me. I get a few months behind, typically at a time, not all the time, but when I am behind on this project, all I do is take a couple hours out of a Saturday morning, sit down with my photo library, go through the process of culling, which again, I talk about a lot in this class, and then I create my folders that have my photos, and I'm ready to go. Now, I wanted to show you this really quickly. July was just one page. I didn't have a lot of photos, right? And so no stress, right? It's still a month. I could have just had a single page, would have been fine. But I do want to point out something. I'm self-employed and I don't like clothes, but when I got that shirt, it showed up in every picture. Anyway, moving on. Another thing that I try to do in this project is every title page that shows up, just the month card or whatever, I do try to represent everyone in my family. Well, I only have four. We're a family of four. We're a gang of four. So I will try to find something of the hubs, something of me, something of my boy. He got a little more play that month because he did something at sports that was amazing. And you wouldn't understand it, but just trust me, greatest moment of his life, and probably mine. And my daughter. I try to, make sure there's a representation of the whole family. The other thing that's kind of cool about these books from this particular book printer, and a lot of book printers are doing it right now, but I really love Adorama, it's the lay flat binding. So when you want to sit and you want to look over your memories, they have this beautiful binding that lays flat. And I will tell you this, if there's ever anything wrong with your book from this company, oh my, do they make it right. I had one year where a color was off, and I questioned it, and they said, no problem, we'll get you a new one out, and we'll make sure we do it right. So, but yeah, this is the book. Oh, that was the day we dropped him off at college. I don't want to show you a whole lot of that because there are things, and here's the evolution of being a scrapbooker. This is, predominantly how I have made a living all these years, right? Well, when your children start to age out, and what I mean by that is when they reach a part of their lives where their stories are theirs and they should be theirs. It's not just your job to tell everyone. If you're like me and you're a public person with your stories, there's a lot of these things that I didn't share within the group even. There are some pictures that I'm going to just throw my hands over every now and then, but I'm trying to be very mindful that because I share this publicly, the photos that I am using, I have their permission to use. Does that make sense? And I think that's important. I love storytelling. I actually think both of my children are storytellers. They're both fantastic writers, and they're both so creative. But again, they get to choose how their story is told. And I'm going to cover this one because I told my son it would. It's just a picture of him from voting day, but that's all you need to know. He specifically said no public sharing. So let's move on. Getting to the end here, I do Allie Edwards' project, December Daily. My mind is losing here. And so when I get to December in a year-long project, I know I have already documented, the crap out of my month of December. And so for this final entry, all I decided to do was just photos. And there's crossover. This photo is in my December Daily album. This photo shows up. A lot of them, there's a bit of crossover, and that's fine. But I kept it very, very simple for the last month, and I have a recap page. Whenever you see a big page like this, it means that I have completely phoned it in because I was done. I wrote my recap. I knew that December had been ably documented, and that's it. That is a look at my album project. This has been such a game changer for me, partly because I'm running out of space, okay, for storing albums. Until my husband agrees to let me purchase some sort of cabinet for our living room that I can store more scrapbooks in, part of this evolved out of space economy. I'm coming to you I'm recording this in my dining room, which is where I craft. And so space is at a premium. And these books, oh my, they take up so much less room than a 12 by 12 album. I did Project Life in a 12 by 12 format, full on 1 year, 2 12 by 12 albums. And they're great. I love them. It's a great snapshot of life. It's far more detailed than this. Do you know what I'm saying? There's more detail. But for me, this is really a great way to go. And so again, I'm going to make sure there's a link below if you're interested in reading the description about this class that this comes out of and what you get for what you pay. Also, I'm here for, support and help, and the goal is, yes, you do use Photoshop for this. There is no app that I have created, but I do have students who use my concept in their Project Life approaches and their apps, because you get these digital files that are just JPEGs or PNGs, and you can use them in a Project Life app, and you can journal and do all your things. But the approach is what I love sharing, and that is, it's called the crap method. And it's better than it sounds, because I'm all about, crap-free scrapbooking. I don't believe, and what I mean by that is, if you experience stress and cosmic pain over being behind with your memory keeping is not as fun. I think this stuff is fun. And and I realize this is all smooth, right? And there's nothing bumpy, but when I sat down with this book and flipped through and reviewed my year, yeah, there were some tears, because it just reminds me that life is amazing and I am so lucky to be here. And the fact that I get to document this story in this form is perfect for me. So I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough. Again, it's not meant to be the comprehensive end-all be-all, but this project and this approach is something that, again, I'm starting up already for the year 2019. And again, if you want to learn more about Scrapbook Your Year, just click on the link below, or you can always visit the link to my blog as well. Thanks so much for watching, and here's to documenting your year with simplicity and no stress.